All right, so now we're working. RX is basically got what I have selected, and I hit send to RX, and it opens it up in its editing window here. And so this is the matching file is what I have in my Pro Tools session here. So what I have selected here has now been sent to here. Okay, so RX return has to have an instrument that is going to play that audio back through. So I'm going to go to, I think it's instrument, and then Izotope RX4 monitor. So what that'll do is basically bring the audio that's going through Izotope and draw it back through Pro Tools. Cool. Okay, so something that is important about this RX return aux is this needs to be solo saved, because a lot of times I'll leave whatever I'm working on soloed down here. What solo saved means is even if you have anything else soloed other than the track you want to hear, that's going to still play the audio from the track. So in order to do that, I'm going to hold down Control, and I believe it's Apple on the Mac. If I hold down Control and then click the solo, it's going to kind of gray out this solo option. What that means is any other solos isn't going to affect this channel.
Oh?
Is that not enough?
Well, I mean, an affair is normally a
All
symptom.
right. Okay, so we've got this in here. Everything's ready to go in RX. So since I have a similar noise profile, I'm going to basically look at this room and kind of see in between the dialogue what's going on here.
Why did you and Daddy split up? I mean, I know that it was another woman, but was that all?
Is that not
Okay, so that's a pretty good empty spot there. And this first pass, I'm not getting super duper noise reduction I guess. Like I just want to have a light pass on it. I don't want to have to go in and take out every specific thing, because at this point we don't have the music, we don't have the sound design, so the dialogue is so centered on everything. You know, it's all we're listening to right now. A lot of times when you get that other stuff in, like the music and the sound design, a lot of this noise isn't going to matter. So I don't want to spend a ton of my time taking out noise that we wouldn't notice in the final mix anyways. So I'm just going through and taking out the stuff that I know that I can do fast, and then kind of leaving the rest for specific spotting in the total re-recording mix. Okay, so I found this noise profile, and I'm just going to go through and select a little bit. And you can kind of listen to it to see if you're hearing anything that's kind of repeating itself. There's a little bit there, but it's not too bad. Let's listen to this. Little high frequency loop. Okay, so I'm going to go to denoise. Get this up here in the window. This gives me a couple options. It gives me Spectral and Dialog. A lot of times I'll use Dialog if it's kind of a general noise profile. Where I'll use Spectral is when it's more specific. Like say we can hear, like maybe this is the air conditioner or the heater that's running in this room. It's a constant tone that you can see down here. Like right here, if you can see that. It's a motor running basically. So this is going to have a very specific noise pattern. It's not just going to be like a natural room, whatever, that I could use a dialogue thing on. Now the dialogue would be fine, but it would still leave this very specific frequency sticking out. So the nice thing about Spectral, and if you look at the dialogue, so let's get a noise profile of this with the dialogue. Go to manual, and then if I hit learn, this is a pretty general curve. So it's not super specific. If I go to Spectral, put on manual, and then hit learn, it's going to be a very specific, related to what the noise profile is. So you can see this is the low frequencies and it goes to the high frequencies, and this is the amplitude or how loud that specific frequency is. We have this peak here, and you can see that that is this actual peak down here. Where you see the loudness. So this is going to go through and identify the noise specifically for that motor that's running. And that's kind of what I want to do. So I'm going to hit learn one more time. Make sure this is on the best setting. And then you just kind of have to listen to it. So I'm going to go back to the start of the double hit enter and just start listening.
Why did you and Daddy split up? I mean, I know that it was another woman, but was that all?
Is that not enough?
Well, I mean, an affair is normally a symptom, not a problem.
I found your father's girlfriend to be a problem. We didn't communicate. Grew apart.
Okay, so I'm just listening to make sure that I'm not biting too much out of it. It's really easy. Like if I turn this threshold up, you're going to hear...
Why did you and Daddy split up?
So we're getting really digital.
I mean, I know that it was another woman, but was that all?
A real digital sounding...
Well, I mean, an affair is normally a symptom.
A lot of
not a problem.
artifacts. Sounds like they're talking through saran wrap. So I'm going to go back down and just kind of find the happy area. And again, I don't want to take all the noise out. Right now I'm just trying to make it sound a little bit better.
Why did you and Daddy split up?
So this sounds good.
Nothing in common.
No artifacts.
Yada, yada, yada.
Cool.
All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom out real quick, and I think I can just scroll wheel to do this. And I'm going to kind of look at this noise that's happening. We can see the dialogue that's happening in the red, and the green is going to be the noise profile. I'm just going to kind of look at that and see if there's any jumps. Now this one's pretty fortunate. We have this noise profile is pretty much the same. I do see, if you can see in this part right here, there's a little less than the low frequencies. So on RX, you have the low frequencies and then it goes up to the high frequencies. And so right here, you can see that there's less low energy than in the rest of the file. So what I'm going to do is actually, instead of processing all this together, I'm going to just take the parts where it's actually the same noise profile. So I can see that, and if I move this over a little bit, I'm going to zoom in. Just kind of see where that happens. So right here. And probably what this is like a cut from one side of the room to the other. I'm going to zoom back out. So I've got this time key, or the time selector going, and I'm just going to select that. And then I'm going to come over here. Shift click will add to your selection. Here. Here. Looks like there's a little bit there that I could, but I mean, it's so similar that it's probably going to be fine. All right, so I'm going to process that. Your best friend in Izotope is actually going to be the Control Z, because you can undo, or Control Shift Z to redo. But you can see all that noise was chopped out of there. And we'll just listen to it.
Why did you and Daddy split up? I mean, I know that it was another woman, but was that all?
Is that not enough?
Well, I mean, an affair is normally a symptom, not a problem.
I found your father's girlfriend to be a
Here's that
problem.
different noise profile.
We didn't communicate. Grew apart. Had nothing in common. Yada, yada, yada.
This is going to be a tough one right there, because where this noise
I
starts,
found your father's girlfriend to be a problem.
there's not a ton of clean noise, because you can still hear her moving around, or her jacket. So you can kind of hear that even when I get in this super quiet part. You can hear that high frequency.
We didn't communicate.
So there's still a little bit there. I'm being super picky on this one, but it's...
Grew apart.
So she's just moving around the whole time.
Had nothing in common.
And usually if you select a region here, and I've got the loop function enabled, so I can kind of hear the loops of what I've selected. If you hear a rhythmic pattern, that means that you don't have a solid noise profile that's all by
Yada,
itself.
yada, yada.
Cool.
Did Justin?
Okay. Let's see if this is long enough. We gotta learn that. Yep, cool. If you don't select a long enough region, it'll tell you right here, like this is an inaccurate reading because the noise profile was too short. So if you get that, then you have to make a longer selection. All right, so I'm just going to select the part. Like you can see, this is the one that we've already done, and this is the where we already did that noise profile. So we're going to go through and just preview and listen.
Problem.
I found your father's girlfriend to be a problem. We didn't communicate. Grew apart. Had nothing in common. Yada, yada, yada.
Well, I'm not a problem.
I found your father's girlfriend to be a
So that
problem.
sounds pretty good.
We didn't
Might be a
communicate.
little much.
Grew up.
Cool. I'm going to process that.
I found your father's girlfriend to be a problem. We didn't communicate.
Right on. Okay, so we got this whole thing noise reduced, basically. So at this point, what I'm going to do is go through and start to make it even cleaner. First thing I'm listening to, and it's not as much of a problem on the boom, but a lot of those annoying vocal smacks, like they go, that stuff, super annoying, and I like to get those out.
You are an accomplished, independent woman, and you don't. Independent woman.
So there's a little one there.
Independent woman.
So what I'm going to do is just go up here to declick. I like to set the amplitude around 2.4 and the strength at 8.4, high quality.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
There's a little bit of clicky there. We have to get that out of there.
I've seen it. It's rare, but I've seen it.
Cool. All right, so we got that. This whole thing's pretty quiet.
You don't need a man.
But at this point, now I'm going to go through and kind of surgically try and get this all leveled. So what I'm going to do is kind of focus on the dialogue, and then everything around the dialogue, I'm going to kind of try and keyframe down a little bit.
Why did you and Daddy split up?
So you can actually, if you right click in RX, you can hit view clip gain. I think default is to not see that, so I usually leave it on view clip gain. And now that I have my time selector, the shortcut is the key T for time. You can select regions around the dialogue and start to add keyframes to that.
Why did you and Daddy split up?
So I'm going to take this whole intro, shift click, and then kind of move these keyframes around.
Why did you and Daddy split
And not that we want to take all the stuff out. Like there's some walking steps.
Why did you and Daddy split up? I mean, I know split up.
So in between there, I'm just going to keyframe that a little bit. What I found is you can be a little more drastic with your fade on the attack than you can on the release. So the release has to be a little bit further out.
Why did you and Daddy split up? I mean, I know that it was another woman, but... I
want to keep it sounding natural.
I mean, I know that it was another woman, but... Was that all?
Is that not enough?
You don't want to be too picky with it, but since we're
It was another
here.
woman, but... Was that all?
Because what's nice is the volume of the vocals will a lot of times mask the noise in the room.
Is that all?
And if you get your fade right in between the lines, you can make it you can make the perception that it's a lot quieter, even though you still have that noise happening when they talk.
Is that not enough?
Well, I
And
mean,
you'll hear this in movies if you listen for it. There's a lot of times where you'll kind of start to hear the noise come up. They deliver the line and the noise goes back down. That's if it's not done really very well. But if you do it good,
well, I mean, an affair is normally a symptom.
hard to
not a
notice.
problem.
I found your father's girlfriend to be a problem.
like she's moving around there, it's not a big problem. I'm going to leave it in.
We didn't communicate. Grew apart.
So that stuff can be gone. And that's the end of the scene,
Is that
so I
what you want to do?
kind of pull that down.
Is that what you want to do?
Cool. Okay, so we got that whole thing kind of some of the in-betweens are kind of gone there. This is starting to sound really clean. The next thing I want to do is kind of bring it all up to the level that I need it to be at. Right now it's running pretty low compared to where I want to be, hovering around, negative 24. But in order to do that, what I want to do first is to write these changes that I've got here into this actual file. And what I like to do is save this step. What I'll do is bring up an equalizer, and on vocal stuff, I normally want to just cut out the stuff that's below, like 70 hertz is really low, where it's more of a thing that you feel than you actually hear. But if you've got a subwoofer that you're working with, some of those frequencies will come through. So don't want that on the Dialog. So I'm going to go ahead and process this at a pretty steep cube and nothing unnatural. What this is going to do is it's going to process this whole file, and in doing that, it's going to actually write these keyframes into the actual file, as you'll see. All right, so that whole thing is processed. It erased all of our keyframes, but it wrote those changes into the actual file. So now if we listen to it.
Was that all?
Is that not enough?
Well, I mean, an affair is normally a symptom, not a problem.
I found your father's girlfriend to be a problem.
Okay, so another tool that is in our RX4 and 5, I'm sure, is this leveler tool. When I open this, it's going to give me some options. It'll give me the target RMS. Like we're going for like negative 24, negative 25. This is RMS, so it's a little different than LKFS. But these settings are pretty self-explanatory. What it does is it's going to say how fast it's going to move. So it's going to take measurements every, like on a 1.1 second measurement. And then the amount. So this is the total amount that it's going to be able to change the gain. So this is 19.3. So it's going to either be able to increase at 19 or decrease at 19. And give it that, range of difference, how much change you want to have. The noise control is a little bit less self-explanatory. What it does is it's basically going to listen to the file and say, if the noise is there, say like in between where they're talking, it's going to analyze that to say, okay, this is noise. I shouldn't be gaining this up. And I haven't gotten it to work great yet, but as you'll see, a lot of times it'll just be some kind of like footstep or like room noise, and it'll want to gain that up. What this does, it gives it a threshold of how fast it's going to take that measurement and increase or decrease it. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit set clip gain here. And so you can kind of see where it's done that. So on here, it's gaining all this noise. This isn't dialogue. This is just what's going on in the room. It's gaining all that up, as you can see in the clip here. And it's doing a little bit better here to where it didn't gain this up. So that noise control actually worked at that point. It does look like it's gaining up the tail of her line. So I just like to use this as kind of a rough setting. Now I'm not going to just let this live like this. I'm going to kind of look at this and listen to it, use my ears to kind of see what's going on. But this kind of helps me keep everything within a range. So I'm going to start listening to this. I know for sure that I don't want this stuff. So I'm going to hold down Shift and delete. And that's going to erase all those keyframes. So I'm kind of basically going to go through here and delete the stuff that sounds unnatural. So I'm just gonna start listening here.
Why did you and Daddy split up?
So we're a lot louder, but I don't need this volume boost on the end of her line. So I'm gonna delete that.
I mean, I know that it was another woman.
And so as she gets louder, it's actually turning her down a little bit and then kind of bringing her back up. I don't want all this sudden change, and I could probably fix that with increasing the speed, but this is the speed that I've found works best for me. If you make it slower, it's going to take slower measurements and less fast changes, I guess, or gain settings aren't going to be changed so fast.
It was another woman, but was that all?
So see how this one pops up. Don't really want that, so I'm kind of gonna look at it and see where it's kind of telling me that that's where the amplitude is.
Another woman,
find
but
a happy medium.
Another woman, but was that all?
Is that not enough?
Well,
we're not going to probably use that line because it's not on her.
Is that not enough?
That's the reverse angle.
Enough?
Well, I mean, an affair is normally a symptom, not a problem.
I found your father's girlfriend to be a problem.
Normally a
So
symptom.
some boosting
not a
happening there. I can kind of just kind of look at it and kind
I
of say.
found your father's girlfriend to be a problem. We didn't communicate. We didn't communicate. We didn't communicate. We didn't communicate. Grew apart. Grew apart. Grew apart. Had nothing in common. Yada, yada, yada.
Well,
Did Justin...
So
No.
that's the reverse angle there. You can hear some of the artifacts from the noise reduction, but that's because the mic is pointed at the other actress. So we're not going to even use this line.
well,
Did Justin...
This one's just a little hot, so I'm just going to...
Yada, yada.
As you can see, I'm just kind of using this as a guide.
well,
Did Justin...
no.
And if somebody from RX4 or Izotope, or if somebody, a viewer, knows how to use this tool better than this, I don't know that this is the best. I know that it's a little bit of a time saver for me, just to get all this stuff kind of normalized in a way that's natural. Again, this is the first pass of Dialog noise reduction, so there's going to still be some noise in there. I don't want to take all the noise out at this point.
You are an accomplished, independent woman, and you don't need a man. Okay, it exists. Okay, it exists.
And sometimes when they deliver the lines lower, it needs to be lower, because if you boost it so much, it's going to bring that noise back up.
Okay, it exists.
Make it natural. Okay, so at this point, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to go ahead and use the send back button up here. And what this is going to do is transfer what I've done with this file and go back to Pro Tools. All right, so I still have that selection selected. And so what I want to do is instead of printing this or rendering these changes that I've done over this file, I want to put this on a different track. The same deal with like being non-destructive, so that at any point I can come back to this file and grab the raw files and make these changes, or if I did something wrong or whatever, I can come back and make a change to this. The key to doing this is just to print this onto a different track. So as long as I have Pro Tools selected and my selection is still there, I can use either the P or the semicolon to move up or down. And this will maintain my selection. So what I want to do is scroll up, or go P, push P, and move up in the selection, and then hit render. So I'm going to move up to the boom channel, because this is the boom, and hit render. Cool.